Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Bodacious Rant with Bernard Rye. Hope everybody's having a great week. John Wick Chapter 4 is still in theaters, so I'm going to go see it again. I have to keep bragging about that movie because it was so good. But I'm not here to keep going on about that, okay? Tonight we are talking, of course, I'm sure you all have guessed it, the Mandalorian Episode 5 of Season 3, or Chapter 21, however you want to look at it. Of course, it's going to be another spoiler episode because Bern and I just can't help ourselves, especially when it comes to a series. So please do not forget to give us a like, ring the bell, and of course subscribe. And we're going to dive into all the spoily goodness of this most recent episode. Now we're in the second half of the season 3, so I think this is definitely the episode that it's starting to, at least, I feel like for some people, if they're feeling a little restless with where the plot's going, essentially, I think now we're kind of moving forward, at least in my opinion.
It seems like plot points are starting to tie in together at this point. So yeah, like you said, last half of the season, things are really like coming together to push to, the eventual ending, of course.
Yeah, we had that one pirate, Swamp Thing, essentially come back. I'm just kidding. His name is not Swamp Thing. He just looks like that DC character. But I think it's something charred, like the vegetable, which he does look like a giant talking lettuce piece.
Gorian Shard.
There we
I
go.
like to call him Spinach Man. It's just like a bunch of spinach just like hanging on to like Spinach the Hut or something. Like
he's a very serious version of Pizza the Hut. Hence why he looks like a giant vegetable, because vegetables are serious, where pizza is fun and delicious. Except he doesn't eat himself to death like Pizza the Hut did in Spaceballs. But I thought that was interesting. Now we tied back into that from episode 1 of this season. And, Grief Karga, he can only do so much. A lot of good callbacks in this episode, too. Like, where he has that one droid unit, and he does the Princess Leia, like, trying to send a message out for help. I thought that was kind of a fun little tip-off there. Just because...
Oh, yeah. That is a little hologram message for, like, asking for help. Yeah. That's pretty good.
Just because, like, he's trying to... How he's, like, set out Navarro to be a more utopia-like planet with, like, a trading outpost. Like, it's just more civil and, there's not really much of a security force, especially since Cara Dune is no longer Marshal of Navarro. So I like that he reached out to what was that guy's name from... Kim's Convenience, that one actor / character, like what was his name again? Do you remember?
The character is Carson Teva, but the actor that plays him, Paul Sun-Hyung Lee, or I like to call Appa from Kim's Convenience. He's great in that, and he's in one of those other recurring characters like Peli Motto. Although for him, I liked him immediately because I liked the actor, but seeing him pop up here and there and like throughout the seasons and stuff is always a delight because he's great. But yeah, it's interesting that he called him first. I thought he would have called Mando first, but I guess he owed him a favor or something.
Yeah, I mean, just because Navarro is like an independent outpost on the Outer Rim, so it's not like he never really wanted the New Republic to get involved. But when he's like faced down by this pirate with a massive ship, it's like you kind of gotta fold in your cards. You gotta know when to hold them and know when to fold them, as a good man once said. So he has to reach out. And correct me if I'm wrong. I know you've seen Rebels more. But was that giant alien the same character from Rebels? Because I saw some stuff online, but I don't know if that's actually that guy's name. I forget that character's name from Rebels. I've only seen a handful of
Zeb.
Was it Zeb?
Zeb, yeah. Apparently, yeah, it was him. When the character popped up, I was just like, oh, it's probably just one of the same species of that guy. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like, nice little nod. But then, yeah, afterwards, it was like, that was Zeb. I was like, oh, interesting to just like throw him in there like that. Like, there wasn't any like announcement beforehand or anything like, hey, check this episode out. You might see someone you recognize. But no, like just the fact that he was there and he's part of the New Republic. I was like, oh, interesting. Like, okay, like a nice little shadow drop of a character that the animated fans will recognize, and me just completely over my head. I was like, oh, cool, one of those guys.
I mean, I didn't really pick up, because again, like you, I thought it was just another similar alien, and he looked great. I thought the work on that was pretty solid. But he made the internet cream their jeans and shat their chaps. So that was kind of a fun little thing to make him do that, and a great call out. But they keep hinting on more of these Rebels characters coming in, especially with the Ahsoka show coming up. So I'm curious to see who else is going to pop in later this season, especially. But I thought that was interesting. And then Carson knew how to find the covert because R5's a goddamn snitch, which I thought was great because he's like, when he gets there, just thanks R5. It's like he looked at him like, oh, you son of a bitch, like stupid droid.
It's like Din's just like his trust in droids is already like at an all-time low, and now for R5 to pull that, it's like, dude, like you're not doing you and droid kind any favors here.
If I were him, I'd be like, hey R5, can you go around this dune with me? I gotta talk to you real quick. You just hear a blaster go off. Just what happened? Where's R5? He's not with us anymore. Don't worry about it. Like, oh.
Or just come over here by this lake. Trust me, there's nothing bad over here.
just push him into the lake and like, well, that was a shame. He slipped. It's like, but he's a droid. He slipped. It's okay. Just, all right, I'm not gonna bother with that.
Damn it! I wish the pterodactyl bird took you.
But actually, before that, I thought it was interesting that like Carson genuinely wants to help. He's not just some Republican stooge that's just, or New Republic stooge that's just kind of like, well, I'm here to obey the law. But I like that he went to, I forget that SNL actor who's in a lot of those comedic movies, and he was in Even Stevens movie. He's so great.
Yeah, Tim Meadows.
Tim Meadows, that's his name. He's awesome.
The minute he popped up, I was just thinking, Carson Teva, you don't want no part of this shit. Just you don't want it.
I think I kind of want it. Okay, just this once. Get it.
Okay. Yeah.
Just, that was so bad in Walk Hard. He just kept saying, you don't want this, but keeps giving it to him anyways. That was great. But, and then that one actor, I forget her name, but she was in a couple episodes ago as that newly reformed communications officer from Moff Gideon's ship.
Katie O'Brien, but the character is Elia Kane? Yeah, Elia Kane.
Yeah, Katie O'Brien, thank you. I like her. She has a good presence when she's on screen, even if it's a villainous person I can't stand. Because she definitely showed her true colors this one, where as soon as she saw Carson Teva come in, she had that face like, oh shit, like something's happening here. And even Carson's like, well, he brought up a lot of issues like, Navarro needs help. There's been no word on Moff Gideon if he even made it to trial, even though there's been rumors, somewhere he's on a tribunal somewhere in the Outer Rim. And then she comes in, of course, saying, I'm going to the commissary. Do you want anything? Like, what's going down? Like, she played it out perfectly, and I can't stand it. But as soon as she tries to say, well, I mean, they should have joined the New Republic to kind of get our assistance. I like that Carson made that quip, like, oh, of course, you sound like that's something an Imperial would say. And he's not wrong. Like that was exactly the way of thinking. And even then, it's like the Empire would have just taken that planet and kept him under their boot heels. So I thought that was just a little good back and forth between that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, definitely, like, absolutely showing her hand there with the way, she wanted to deny Navarro any sort of aid. It was like, like, you can definitely see, okay, she has ulterior motives. Obviously, we saw it when she was with Dr. Pershing, and then now, like, like, you can tell, it's, like, almost obvious that she's got to be a double agent for Moff Gideon, and, now within the ranks of the New Republic. And it is kind of interesting how I guess they're kind of portraying it in a way that, this fraction or this little piece of the Empire remnants it's kind of like Hydra, like infiltrating, like in S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, I wonder just how many more of them are out there. Like, I don't think she's the only one, but yeah, like for the First Order to have come up, like in the big ranks that we saw in The Force Awakens, like they had to have like pulled a lot of power together behind the scenes.
Well, I mean, again, that's stupid ass movie. What was it? What was the last one called? Not The Force Awakens, not The Last Jedi.
Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker. Thank you. I try and erase it, but I can't help it. They had the whole gosh darn planet full of these, hyper, star cruisers and stuff with the Death Star lasers on them. So it's like, so you guys have been growing in them within the Republic for God knows how many decades. So I think, again, this is just the beginning, that there's going to be a handful of officers that are still loyal to the Empire, like her. She's definitely one of them, so I'm curious to see where we're going to go with that. But I like that even like Carson reached out to Din in the covert saying, listen, he's your friend. I mean, you don't have to help, but you should know what's going on. And, you know, I won't tell anybody where you guys are at. I respect that. It was good. Like Carson Teva, like, you know, it's not much for me. I never really thought much of him. I just like him just because I've seen him some stuff. I'm like, he's a cool actor, but I didn't really think much of his character until this episode where I was like, man, he's a pretty honorable dude. I do respect the hell out of him.
Yeah, I mean he's done Din a solid on a couple of occasions. Remember when in season 2 where like he helped him survive the bug thing when him and that frog lady were attacked, and then yeah he let him go that one time where he's like, when was it? It was like episode 5 or something of the first season when he's like, yeah, we'll let him go on this one. Do you want to do the paperwork on this or whatever? So yeah, Carson Teva is just a solid dude, you know.
He's a good old guy. I like him a lot. And I just like the developments of the covert. Like, again, you know, Bo-Katan is really coming up with the ranks, and that whole debate, like not the debate, but that meeting of them saying, well, if we go help Navarro, they did offer me a piece of land that we could use, and that could be our new home. Like, we don't have to keep hiding here and living essentially the space Australia. Why are we going to keep surrounding ourselves with these monstrous creatures that are out to kill us every day? So, and I thought Paz Vizsla was going to be an asshole for a minute, especially when he's like, how many more should we sacrifice to help out him and Navarro? And it's like, because we're Mandalorians, it's like, that's essentially, we're warriors. That's what we need to do. And he's helped me out. He's saved us on multiple occasions. So I think we pay it forward for him and the Foundling. I was like, oh my God, like, there's some real developments. Even he acknowledged, like, I don't always agree with this guy, but he's still, like, I respect him. That's like that. It's like the great old tale of Ron Burgundy of West Mantooth. You know, right when out of the barricade, he says, you know, I hate you, but God damn it, do I respect you?
Pretty much. I mean, like, he went from probably being Din's number one hater, you know, probably talking a lot of smack on space Twitter, you know, saying like, that guy, I bet he ain't shit without the Darksaber.
He's fucking peanut butter and jealous.
But then, yeah, now he's sort of, like you said, like, begrudgingly, like has that, like, respect for him, and which is nice to see, like, some development within their characters. All he had to do was help him save his son, you know, just a small little task like that.
Yeah, it's like, it's just your son, you know, your bastard child. So it's like, come on, man, you got to give him a little something. So I'm glad he did that, and you know, they all agreed, like, well, if we go this will be our new home. And I like that Bo keeps really leading this covert, you know, because, again, the armor has essentially been the head honcho, or at least the mother of this group, like, kind of just guiding and protecting it. But Bo, I like that she's planning it out and saying we need to be a strong military unit, and this is the plan, you know. Bo, like, Din's going to distract it. I'm going to go help him. You guys are going to get on the ground and save everybody. And that was a pretty fun fight, in my opinion. You know, just with the two teams splitting off, kind of killing off the pirates. Din just totally owning up all those ships in the sky. And I'm glad that we got to see more of the covert, too. Like, more of those Mandos in action and stuff. They were still pretty badass. I mean, I don't know what you thought about the action of this episode.
Yeah, I mean, the aerial combat this season has really stepped up. You know, like, it seems like we've had, like, a ship battle sequence in almost, like, every episode. But yeah, like, they've been doing a really cool job of that. I really like Gordon Shard's ship, how it was like very much like a pirate ship, you know, with a huge like mask, and then like the you know, the cannons on the side. I thought that was a lot of fun. But cool. Yeah, like him, Din, you know, tearing it up in the sky while, you know, the other covert, we get to see them in action. I thought that was pretty cool, except for one part that did kind of bug me was when they were like, we're boxed in, you know, they're like surrounded on all sides. I'm like, you guys have jetpacks. What are you talking about? Just but they fly to the roof or fly out of there.
They'll get shot out of the sky. But yeah, no, you're not wrong either. It's not like those pirates are great shots, but yeah.
Just, oh no, we're trapped. It was kind of reminiscent of the Boba Fett scene where like the shield walls, they're like closing him in. I'm like, you have a jetpack.
And you have rockets. Yeah, or like, do they not all have that? I figured they would, but you know, it's just one of those things.
I guess we know why Mandalorians are like extinct, you know, like you just put them in a box and surround them, they don't know what to do.
I guess
it's like Kung Pao with the tiny net.
How some people get more ferocious in a corner. Apparently Mando's don't do that. They're the very opposite. They just get weaker in the corner. So, oh, you joker. I love it. But that was a pretty great fight scene, especially in the armor. Magically snuck in the tower, aced those guys up there, and, you know, defeating Gory and Chard like almost effortlessly in the sky. I thought that was awesome. I think the part that stood out to me the most is just that one-on-one with the armor and Bo in the old forge. And she's like, oh, this was a forge, like almost having like memories of basically everything that started the whole covert's like downfall, essentially. Because, you know, as soon as Din took that job with Grogu and trying to find him and stuff like that, essentially it's like the covert just went to shit. You know, they revealed themselves on Navarro when Greef Karga was trying to take him out. Then the Imperials came in and totally wiped a good portion of them out. So it was a pretty like bitter moment, but I'm glad that she actually took what Bo said to her last episode, saying, you know, you've seen the mythosaur, like, please take off your helmet. And I thought it was a setup, to be honest. I thought there was like, oh my God, are we turning into a dark scene right now?
Yeah, same.
Oh my God, it was very, very ominous moment. But I like that she's like, do you trust my station? Like, take off your helmet. And again, it was great just seeing Katie Sackhoff's face, because she's so beautiful, and she's just such a good actor. Like, it's hard not wanting to see her. But I like that she acknowledged, like, if you've seen the mythosaur, that means a new age is upon us, and I think you're the right one to lead, because you are a true Mandalorian, and you've been part of the Watch. So you're the perfect person to unite all Mandalorians, whether they're Watch members, whether they're mercenaries, rogue people. And I thought that was a really good moment. I feel like Bo, she's definitely finding that feeling of acceptance and leadership again. Because at the beginning of the season, how everybody left her, which is kind of fucked up, it was just that moment of like, what do I do with my life kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, and that's kind of been really cool to see this, you know, in this season so far, how Bo-Katan is really earning the right to be a leader. Whereas beforehand, you know, she was either like put into a position of power because of her family, or because, you know, she was given the Darksaber by Sabine. So, you know, she was able to, you know, lead like a small group there until she lost it. But now it seems like she's really like earned her way towards it, you know, with how she's been able to, you know, take charge of this covert and lead them on, you know, like certain missions and stuff, you know, with the saving of the Paz Vizsla's kid, and, you know, now here, you know, liberating Navarro from the pirates. So it's like, yeah, she's proven that she has the experience for it. You know, she was in the Clone Wars, obviously, so she has a lot of combat experience. And that's something that it seems like this particular covert of Mandalorian are lacking in, you know. And maybe that's one of the things that we can attribute the non-jetpack use for, is that these, you know, they've been on the run and they've been hiding, you know, they haven't seen open combat and conflict like that, but she has, and she has a lot of experience in that. So she is kind of like the right person to you know, lead this group, at least in, you know, military situations. But yeah, this whole scene was very interesting. And I don't know about you, but the whole like tone in the scene with her in the armor, did it feel kind of like ominous to you? Like, I know we like mentioned, like, yeah, like, you know, it was kind of like she like trying to trick her with the whole, you know, take your helmet off. But just like for some reason, for me, like the way it was shot and everything, like there was like a sense of foreboding or something. I don't know if that's just me, or if maybe you picked up on a little bit of that. Like there might be some ulterior motive or something.
I mean, I thought it was just ominous because I thought she was trying to set her up like that. But I mean, that's a fair feeling to have. I think it was done that way to make it seem, I mean, maybe the armor does have a situation, especially because, you know, after she walks Bo out into the crowd and says she's going to be the one to unite all of us, we will take back Mandalore. And it's like, okay, this is a great moment. But then when Carson, that last scene, I think was really the tip top of this episode. That was the most ominous part of this episode, really. A great ominous succession, just rising up like a ladder to like the Jack the Beanstalk, really. And yeah, it was just so
just like a creeping fear that comes up behind you and puts you in a headlock.
I was trying to go all artistic and like all this like this really intuitive thing, and it's just like, nah, fuck it, who am I kidding? But that part actually kind of scared me when he just comes across his derelict ship. I thought it was like somebody, I thought he was going to get ambushed. I was like, oh no, Carson, don't die, please. But that old transport, that like the one from Return of the Jedi, that was just torn to shit. And I thought it was really cool seeing the droid send like the little light bulb thing that R2 always had that could be like a drone. I thought that was really cool, or a probe. And you see the piece of Beskar jammed into the wall because that was Moff Gideon's ship that he never. Obviously, now we for sure know he never made it to tribunal. He never made it to trial. So he's out in the wild somewhere. But the piece of Beskar, I think that's either the Empire setting it up, like Moff left that there just to say screw you, man, Din Djarin and all that stuff for ruining everything, or maybe the armor had something to do with it. That's kind of like the hardest part to tell. So I'm very curious to see if there is truly an ulterior motive, or does Moff have some sort of control with the Mandalorians? I don't know. It's hard to say. What did you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, the whole lead into that sequence was very foreboding, and it's sort of reminiscent of like those like detective tropes where it's like you have the old detective and he's about to uncover like a big conspiracy or whatever, and then sometimes they die or whatever. So that was why I was like very very worried for Carson Teva here, because he's unraveling whatever's going on here really with Moff Gideon and the New Republic. So yeah, there was a moment there where I was like, oh no, I hope nothing bad happens, because usually in these situations when someone's about to find the truth out, they get taken out. So it's like, I'm glad he made it out, but we'll see if he makes it to the end of the season, hopefully. But the guy that finds out the truth first, it's not always the one that makes it out, but we'll see on that. But yeah, with the whole Beskar piece being launched into the ship, it could definitely be one of those things where, like you said, did the Empire set this up to sort of move the suspicion to the Mandalorian and have the New Republic trying to go after them instead of the remnants of the Empire? Or was it a particular Mandalorian faction? Was it one that is sympathetic to the Empire, or could it be someone, like I said, maybe the armor, or someone that struck a deal with Moff Gideon in the background? Because I mean, the Mandalorian have a really good reason to not like Moff Gideon, since he was the one that orchestrated the destruction of Mandalore. So I don't see why a lot of people would want to be on his side, but who knows? I mean, he's a very shifty guy. He's able to get leverage where you'd think he wouldn't be able to get it. So if anyone was able to, weasel their way out of a situation and hold power over someone, he would be the guy. So very curious if it's a fake out, or if there's a Mandalorian group out there that is helping him out.
I'm hoping it's the latter, where it's not or the former, not the Mandalorian group helping him, but you're not wrong. Maybe he did form some sort of group, especially since Bo did say they're going across the universe as mercenaries and stuff. So we'll have to see what's going to happen with that. But again, at least I feel like this is definitely the one episode that has the most developments with the plot overall. Because the character development, I think, has been great the last few episodes. And I know critics are pretty harshing it. Specifically IGN. I don't know what their freaking deal is with this, but that's neither here nor there. I think it's definitely a solid season. I'm looking forward to the next 3 episodes. But yeah, everybody in the comments, let us know, what did you think of this episode? Did you feel like now we're finally picking up something and going somewhere with it, or you still feel like, hey, we need more answers, because we want to keep the conversation going? Before we wrap up, Burn, was there anything else that popped out at you this episode?
Just it's interesting how Din's character is being used. It seems like, for sure, he's definitely taken a little bit of a step back, and I think that's because his emotional and his physical arc have sort of kind of been completed. Like he was able to get Grogu to the Jedi, that was done. He's able to get Grogu back, that's done, and he seems like he's in a really good place, like emotionally too. Like he's very satisfied with where he is. He's back with the covert. He's got a son there with him, so he's living a good life, and all that right now. So it seems like he's at his best right now. So really, the only way I can see for him to go is to go down. So hopefully, like we'll see like what happens with his character soon, because when everything's looking up and up for him, there's nowhere to go but down. So we'll see like how it all plays out. But yeah, it's been cool seeing Bo get the focus here. But now I'm wondering what the the downfall of it all is going to be, because with his character in particular, like, he's in a really good spot right now, too good of a spot, I think.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see, and can only hope for the best for Din and Carson and everybody. So hopefully Carson doesn't go down like LA Confidential, and hopefully Din doesn't have a Logan moment or something like that, if you catch my drift. But until next time, guys, we also got Dungeons & Dragons coming out this week, so stay tuned for that review. And we're going into April. There's a lot of good stuff. Most specifically, I'm looking forward to Evil Dead Rise, so I'm so excited for that. But until next time, guys, as always, stay bodacious and keep on ranting for the both of us.
Absolutely, everybody. Be good, be safe, and as always, we'll catch you on the next one.